Federal government works out modalities for 774,000 jobs under the Special Public Works Program. Regulatory agencies call for vigilance over fraudulent activities in the cyberspace. Are you preparing to use the airports as the easing on the lockdown begins? Well, be certain you will be interacting with robots. This is Business Express, and we are reaching you from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. I am Benny Adams, your guide. October 1, 2020 is the tentative date for the takeoff of 774,000 jobs across all local government areas of the Federation. This Monday, the federal government inaugurated the state selection committees for the Special Public Works Program. President Muhammadu Buhari had earlier announced the creation of the program to mitigate lack of job opportunities in the rural areas through a short-term engagement of 1,000 unemployed persons per local government area for a period of 3 months. The initiative will see beneficiaries earn an allowance of 20,000 naira monthly to carry out public work and will be recruited largely from the pool of unskilled persons ordinarily resident in rural areas. Dr. Nasiru Ladan Mohamed Argungu is the Director General of the National Directorate of Employment, NDE. He joins us to discuss the 774,000 direct jobs planned in the Nigerian Economic Sustainability Plan, the NESP. You're welcome to Business Express, sir.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me.
Well, sir, tell us about this job opportunity and what is the possible duration for this engagement.
Well, you see, the whole initiative is from Mr. President himself, and this is the biggest single project taken by any government in the history of Nigeria as far as employment generation is concerned. We are talking of engaging 774,000 unskilled, unemployed Nigerians in the 774 local government. It involves 1,000 young men and women per each local government. It's a community-based grassroots program.
Wow, like you said, it is the biggest so far.
Yes.
So Nigerians would like to know what is the criteria for this engagement.
You see, as far as I'm concerned, there is no qualification. We are talking of unskilled. There is no qualification. In terms of educational qualifications, I mean, once you are a Nigerian and you are 18 years and above, you are qualified to get involved.
Okay, this one that is unskilled and there is no any other criteria for such engagement, what exactly would they be doing? And is there any concession preference for maybe concentration for women and youth?
Yeah, you know, greater percentage of unemployed Nigerians are young men and women and the elderly. So in most cases, preference is given to the teeming unemployed youth and women. So there is that one.
So what is the possible economic impact that is expected, more so that a lot of households have been impacted negatively on this impact of COVID-19? So what's the economic impact at the end of the day?
You see, if you look at the amount of money involved and the total number of people that are to be engaged, we are talking of 15 billion naira to go into our economy on monthly basis. So if you multiply that by 3, as each and every beneficiaries is going to earn 20,000 naira for the period of 3 months, because it is a dry season drive. We are looking at the possibility of taking them off the street, because during the rainy season, most of them are back to their various farms. So if you look at it, somebody earning 60,000 naira, maybe he has a small business. If you look at what is happening within the localities, you realize that most of our local businessmen and women, their capital is not more than 10,000 naira at most. But now you have about 60,000
in 3 months.
Too. So if you look at over 46 billion going into circulation in 774 local governments, that will involve 774 Nigerians, it's like 20 million naira going into each local government per month. So we're talking of 60 million to go into circulation. So you can imagine what it will do to our microeconomy at the grassroots level.
Okay, 20,000 naira, 60,000 naira is a lot of money at that particular level. Is there any thinking of how to also help them utilize these funds, particularly into some little things they're doing?
You see, I tell you one thing. In most cases, we do give what we call BBT training, basic business training, mainly to those that we train. But the fact that these young men and women are to be engaged in a community-based program, something to do with taking care of their environment, so that at least they can earn something. If you're a farmer, 60,000 is more than enough for you to buy a water pumping machine so that you can continue your farming business. If you are into various other forms of businesses, 60,000, if injected, if well managed judiciously, it will go a long way.
Okay. Are there specifications, let's say work hours, how many hours in a day would they be engaged, how many times in a week, or is it a Monday to Friday, or is it an all-day engagement?
It's all-day engagement, but they have Saturdays and Sundays off so that they can rest. And the nature of the work they are supposed to do is taking care of critical federal government, state and local government infrastructures. For example, we have a lot of solar panels that are installed from state up to local government that are not working. All they need is for the panels to be clean, and you see they are back to normal. In areas whereby we have floods because of the blockages on drainages, these young men and women can be engaged so that they can have them cleared. Even vegetation control along the federal highways and state highways and the rest of them, even put forth some rural roads that leads to their farms and the rest of them, and even traffic control. So it is a multi-sectorial something that has to do with taking care of critical, maintenance of critical infrastructure within their community.
Okay, DG, for most Nigerians, checks and balances is key, and more so that this is the largest so far, 774,000 jobs. Are there strategies on ground to ensure that this is well managed within the periods it's going to subsist?
You see, as far as I'm concerned, NDA has been in existence for the past 34, 35 years. We have offices in all the geopolitical zones. We have state offices, 36, 37, including FCT. Out of the 774 local government, we have desk officers in 691 of them. We are just adding up to make sure that wherever in all the local governments we have desk officers. And in terms of our widespread, you can see we're virtually everywhere. And my brother, the fact that we did pilot studies in 8 states that involves 40,000 young men and women across the country, Mr. President was so impressed. And that's the reason why he said, now you have to do it in all the local governments. What I have to say is this. As far as I'm concerned, as far as ND is concerned, we are going to do justice to Nigerians, mainly the downtrodden, the ones that are unemployed, the ones that are looking for money to take care of their families. I'm telling you, we are going to do justice to Nigerians.
No doubt, the SMEs are the drivers of the economy, and they are the most hit during this period. Like you mentioned, as part of your trainings, can you enlighten Nigerians on what other smaller businesses, what other trainings can they engage in to survive COVID-19 and post-COVID-19?
You see, if you look at the activities of NDE, our program is on daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly basis. As I'm talking to you now, under vocational skill development, we have a program called BNOS, Mega BNOS, Mega Basic Open National Apprentice Scheme, whereby we engage 50 young men and women in each of the 774 local government to be trained on various trades of their choice. We give them forms to fill, pick whatever they want to be trained on. We attach them to local artisans or master crafters. We collect their details, bank details, including BBN. The same thing with their trainer. The only condition, we give them logbook, attendance register, and ID card. The only condition for them to give the stipends that we normally pay them at the end of every month is they must attend their place of learning at least 20 times in a month. Once they do that, they are qualified for the stipends, and this thing comes directly into their various banks account from GiveMe's account, which is government account.
DJ, I must confess that I was part of that scheme way back some 20 years ago.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nasiru Ladan Mohamed Argungu, DG NDE, for sharing your thoughts with us. It is gladdening to know that we are conquering COVID-19 with job creation. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Moving on. Nigerian consumers fell into harder times with coronavirus pandemic that in turn affected their purchasing power. Some of the people was hit by low patronage at telephone vendors, as recent survey conducted by Nigeria-based fintech shows that phone and other allied product vendors have lost about 30% of their invested capital to economic impact of COVID-19. For our Surviving COVID-19 segment, Moplang Dakok visited a phone vending market in Abuja.
So today we are here at the Zone 1 GSM village to find out what exactly is happening to the market. Anthony Okoye started the phone vending business 15 years ago, but he says the impact of the coronavirus pandemic made him lose some of his capital for the first time this year.
Honestly, this COVID-19, he will little deal with us. Even many guys in this market say, some people maybe with a little amount they are even doing business. After the lockdown of this and stuff, now the business collapsed. And many people are not buying phone now because they were locked down. Many of them are not coming out. Instead of them to money to buy phone, they save it and buy food first.
Another vendor, Emeka, is optimistic that business will pick up when markets are eventually fully opened.
Now we have days of opening, Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, and we have time of closing also. So all those times, many customers do come during time of closing. You know, many government workers, they come during time of closing by 4 or 5. But now we don't do business again with them. Everything is rush up, and we'll go home.
The sellers are unanimous in saying prices of phones have remained stable, with only slight increases in some cases, despite the pandemic. They, however, lament that products are coming in partially because operators have not been able to transport in most of their goods. They believe that when cargo operations resume fully, businessmen like Anthony will be able to smile to the banks once more.
3 months after flight operations were suspended to contain the spread of coronavirus, a test flight departed Abuja Airport to Lagos on Saturday, involving members of the Presidential Task Force expected to evaluate preparation for flight resumption. Aviation correspondent Emmanuel Aimiro reports that new airport protocols, which includes the application of robotic profiling expected to process passengers, formed part of what passengers will have to adjust to when flight operations resume.
The simulation exercise is what passengers are expected to go through when flights resume. Members of the PTF and journalists formed the crowd subjected to all the guidelines irrespective of status. Apart from the floor and seat markings intended to reduce physical contact, the robotic machines being deployed are expected to disinfect the airport, identify unwanted objects, and many more.
Many functions as possible it can perform, and what we're trying to do is to map up and encode all the functions we want to perform, so we can break it down for check-in area, boarding area, security area. All those things can be broken down.
The scare was that they might not be ready, but with what we've seen, everything is in place.
You could see also the chairs are reduced to 250 in this hall. It used to be 500, but this is all. This can take only maybe two flights, local flights. So we know how to stagger them to ensure that the place is not crowded.
By the time the airport reopens, domestic passengers will be required to be at the airport 3 hours before departure, as well as 5 hours for international passengers to enable them observe the new airport protocols.
This is Business Express reaching you from Abuja. The program continues after this break.
Let me assure Nigerians that all COVID-19 intervention funds are safe in the Treasury single account, and that government is still open to donations in this regard. Government has opened special accounts with 5 commercial banks which are directly linked to the Treasury single account. Donated funds are safe in the Central Bank of Nigeria. For verifiable information about the funds and other financial obligations of the federal government, please contact us directly at the Federal Ministry of Finance, Budget and National Planning. The account details for the donations are as follows.
The Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, has described as fraudulent the activities on a Twitter handle at Yusuf Philip Yila, purported to belong to the bank's Director Development Finance Department, Mr. Philip Yila Yusuf. This alert, the Apex Bank say, became necessary in view of the times for prospective beneficiaries of its facilities to avoid being swindled. According to CBN's Director of Corporate Communications, Isaac Okorafor, the impostor handle has been posting messages related to the bank's 50 billion targeted credit facility with intent of wooing unsuspecting loan seekers and owners of small-scale businesses to enter into correspondence with the owner of the fake handle. Okorafor warned unsuspecting members of the public not to have anything to do with the said handle. He advised prospective applicants to approach Nassau Microfinance Bank or any branch nearest to them directly for clarification on the procedure for assessing the COVID-19 targeted credit facility or any of the CBN-related loans. In a similar development, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, has disclaimed the activities of its Matify Nigeria as neither entity for the illegal products they offer are registered or regulated by the Commission. The SEC is warning the general public that any person dealing with the said entity and others in the same business in any manner whatsoever does so in his or her own risks. Recall that the SEC recently raised alarm over the proliferation of the operation of unlawful and unlicensed investment schemes with promises of huge but unjustifiable returns on investment and has warned Nigerians against patronizing them. According to the SEC, these activities are perpetrated by unsuspected promoters of Ponzi and other fraudulent schemes under the identities like Loom Nigeria Money, Box Value Trading Company Limited, Now Alert, Flip Cash Investment, Result Investment Nigeria Limited, Helping Hand and Investment, and No Failure Development and Empowerment Nigeria Limited. Sentiment in the domestic buzz remained weak due to profit taken on large cap stocks. However, significant interest in Air Africa and Nestle in last trading session of the week led the markets to marginal gain for the week. Amina Dujem has an overview of the weekly performance.
The stock market report for the week ended June 26, 2020 indicates that a total turnover of 739.375 million shares worth 8.563 billion naira were traded in 17,248 deals last week by investors on the floor of the exchange. The NSE OSHA index appreciated by 0.01% to close the week at 24,829.02 basis points, while market capitalization stood at 12.952 trillion naira. The financial services industry led the activity chart with 457.851 million shares, valued at 3.773 billion naira, traded in 8,062 deals. The consumer goods industry followed with 66.668 million shares, or 2.015 billion naira, traded in 3,486 deals. The third place was the oil and gas industry with a turnover of 63.255 million shares, worth 380.146 million in 963 deals. Now trading in the top three equities, namely FBN Holdings PLC, Guarantee Trust Bank PLC and Zenith Bank PLC, accounted for 211.351 million shares, or 3.042 billion naira, traded in 3,623 deals. A summary of the price movement chart indicates that 18 equities appreciated in price, 43 equities depreciated in price, while 102 equities remained unchanged, same as 102 equities recorded last week. That's the stock market report.
And on the stock exchange, stocks appreciated Monday at the Nigerian Stock Exchange. The all-share index gained 0.12% to end the session at 24,854.89 points. Volume of trade stood at 158.7 million. Valued at 1.635 billion naira in 3,940 deals. GT Bank, FBN Holdings, and Zenith Bank were the most sought-after stocks. In absolute terms, Nestle, Okomu Oil, and UACN advanced the most, while Unilever at 10% led the decliners. European equities fight for gains amid continued U.S. virus concerns. Bosiri Ebel has been looking at the global market.
Investors continue to monitor developments surrounding the global coronavirus pandemic amid concerns that a surge in cases could impact the reopening of economies. Previously in the session, the U.S. Dow futures had traded more than 100 points lower. However, there was a positive twist in early trading of 29th June as stock futures turned higher. The Dow Jones Industrial Average futures saw an opening gain of more than 100 points. S&P 500 futures and Nasdaq 100 futures were little changed. Stocks in Asia were also affected. Nikkei fell 2.30% on the day to 21,995.04. Shanghai Composite was down 0.61% to 2,961.52, while the Hang Seng Index also dropped 1.01% as of its final hour of trading. European stocks fluctuated on as investors digested the latest coronavirus death toll and spiking cases in the U.S., while African stocks opened mostly positive, with Tunisia's Tunidex, Nairobi's All-Share, Namibia's Overall Index, and Ghana's GSE Composite posting gains, while South Africa's JSE Africa Top 40 Composite Index depreciated.
The Naira ended last week stable despite marginal decline in oil prices. Let's see how it's faring this Monday alongside major global currencies. With that, we come to the end of this edition of Business Express. We value your feedback, so keep the comments, observations, and suggestions coming. Be informed that all previous episodes are available on YouTube on the NTA's channel. You can also communicate with us on Twitter, and the handle is NTA News Now. Don't forget to use the hashtag. It is BizX. Remember to intermittently wash your hands with soap under running water as the world battles COVID-19. Be safe out there. While Business Express returns on Wednesday, I am Benny Adams.